Okay, Travis Wayne Goodsell, and this video is a continuation of one that wasn't very popular, probably because I didn't word it correctly. So we'll see about the wording here. Um, so, yes, psychiatry, psychiatrists, therapists, mental therapists are all responsible for the increase in hate and violence in our nation. So yes, the Florida shooting, psychiatry. No, Travis, you're wrong. They're the ones that comforted the people after the shooting. Are you sure? So let's take a little time traveling journey and go back in time to the origins of the emergence of psychiatry. It was World War II. Nazi Germany was at its peak of torturing humans in concentration camps, and yes, psychiatrists were used in those camps. Many famous psychiatrists were not punished. America did not punish them in the Nuremberg trials. It was all the officers who were punished. The United States, however, took the psychiatrists who were performing the human experimentations of torture and other mind manipulations as well to the United States for asylum, and they went to work for the CIA. Yes, so I'm sure you guys have heard about going to the movie theater and they would plant images of Coca-Cola or popcorn in between the frames of the previews before the movies back then in those days. Yeah, that was them. They were trying to see if they can manipulate mass groups of people to follow what they wanted them to do. And of course, with the theaters, it was all about, can we get them to go buy Coke and popcorn? They found it was successful. The only problem is it doesn't work on those who don't like Coke. That's the dilemma. It's already got to be something in a person in order to exploit it. You know, if you're not interested in Coca-Cola and you don't like popcorn because it sticks in your teeth, you're not gonna be influenced by the images flashing in your subconscious. And so that's, I don't know if they realize that, but I don't think they care. They were able to get a high percentage of the population to be manipulated by them. And then of course you hear about people who are used for drug experiments, PCP and acid and all that other stuff, LSD, not LDS, though that too utilizes the psychiatric manipulations, and I've done the video on it. Yeah, it's now a cultural crisis that they've caused, because like I said, Mormons do it, the government does it, everybody in society does it, down to individual people. They have controlled the masses, and they are pulling the strings. And so how did they do it? Well, first, we accepted them into our country, even though it was in secret, and we put them to work with the CIA. So that was the first problem, is that they were secretly let in and allowed to perform their work in secret with government approval, or at least CIA approval. Whether they revealed it to the government, that's another issue. Yeah, it started out harmless at first in certain instances. There were other instances where it was not innocent, like the drug use. Getting people on drugs, they get addicted, and then you see the effects. It's human experimentation with the drugs that they created. They manufactured the drug, then created a problem, and then they are the ones who are stepping forward with the solution. You recognize that pattern? Trump does it. He causes a problem and then says, I'm the only one who can fix it. It's time to take some action, boys. It's time to follow me. Kill the beast. So, yeah, I hope I didn't have you. But, yeah, that's exactly what Trump has done. He is a tool of psychiatric manipulation. And Putin is his puppet master, even though America helped with that. So let me go back. In the 80s, people were still calling psychiatrists quacks. And no, it wasn't really accepted yet. And so psychiatrists, now that they're leaving the CIA and making their way into mainstream America, establishing private businesses and trying to build up clientele, they had to be considered as saviors or medical doctors. And I discussed that in the other video that nobody looked at, that they're fraudulently presenting themselves as medical doctors. And government has said, you want to prescribe drugs? Okay, here you go, here's your license. So, yeah, the government helped aid and abet in the crisis that we are in America. And so psychiatrists in the 80s, I was a TV watcher back then. 8 to 10 hours a day. Product of TV. And not your little house on the prairie stuff. Magnum PI, Miami Vice, sure, man stuff. But I would watch the commercials. Several were entertaining. Others were hungry. I'm gonna get something to eat. And I saw a commercial come out early in the 80s, and because this was a progressive thing that I noticed. And they started off by saying, if your child has these symptoms, and it was like isolation, depression, whatever else, antisocial behavior, and then they would say, your child may have depression, and then they were offering help for your child. So they were catering to parents of teenage children who were, in essence, psychologically being bullied. Because that's the real cause, is bullying. And psychiatrists were the ones causing the bullying. Not at first, because before psychiatry you always had bullies, but they were the abusive bullying, verbal abuse. You know, like Trump, when he calls the porn star after she had exploited him as being a bad, evil man, he then calls her horseface. You know, that's the kind of abuse before psychiatry. Psychiatry abuse is different, takes a different form. Instead, psychiatry tricks you. They say that you have a mental illness, you have a problem in your brain, and they are here to help you. Oh, they're helping. That's great, because you're a doctor and you don't have a Hippocratic oath like real doctors do, but you still claim you're helping me. Oh, you're giving me drugs. It's helping me. Wait a minute, I'm getting side effects. Oh, you've got more drugs for me to help me. Do you see the abuse? That's a horrifying thing. They sit you down for an hour and they talk about your feelings. What that does is gives them fuel for the fire of abuse that they cause on you. They don't do any actual examinations. They don't check your brain for maladies. They don't do anything. And all they do is sit you down, you talk about your feelings, and they learn how to exploit your vulnerabilities. And they call it a mental problem that they alone can fix. They don't fix anything. And as you can see, with the rise of psychiatry as acceptable, and not only acceptable, but referred to in times of crisis and in courts. Psychiatrists are expert witnesses. You know, in a school shooting, psychiatrists come to comfort the children. Oh, you've been through a traumatic experience. Your life is over, and now you don't know what to do. This is horrifying. I empathize with you. Oh, here, let me give you some drugs. The shooter was the cause. But why was the shooter the shooter? The cause of the shooter being the shooter is psychiatrists. Not that because he had been visiting a psychiatrist. No. It's because psychiatry had influenced our culture down to where everybody, the masses, are controlled by them. And again, let me go back to the commercials in the 80s. After the depression diagnosis, out of outward symptoms, then came another commercial. If your child has the exact same symptoms that we showed you last year, and they didn't obviously say that, they just listed the same exact symptoms, and then they said, and this is where the whole gay conversion came from. Your child may be gay, and we can help reverse the situation. Yeah. So first it was depression. Now they've escalated it to they're now gay. My parents fell victim to that. They thought I was gay because I exhibited all the symptoms because my parents were abusive. I isolated myself from my parents. Oh, I must be gay because I'm not wanting to talk to my parents who are yelling at me all the time, who are controlling me or ordering me around. Oh, I must be gay. But yeah, it didn't help that my uncle at the exact same time decided to up and leave his wife and 3 daughters and say, I'm gay now. So yeah, that aided and abetted in my parents' psychological manipulation. And so that they then became mind controlled by psychiatrists through this whole process. And then, no, it gets better, because this is what helped the Bush family. See, then they come out the following year, exact same symptoms. These are outward symptoms: isolation, antisocial behavior. But now it's not depression, it's not gay. Now your son is a terrorist. Psychiatrists escalated it from just simple sadness to now they're a homo, and now they're a terrorist who are going to seek vengeance on the world for their anger. See, the thing is that these commercials, with claiming that the symptoms are indicators of the bullying abuse. By saying that a person is depressed is bullying. To say that a person is gay is bullying. To say that a person is a terrorist is bullying. But terrorist organizations like ISIS, for example, or Al-Qaeda, back when they were doing the recruiting online, were able to attract victims of this psychiatric abuse here in America and other countries throughout the world. And so, yeah, they targeted vulnerable people, just like Putin. He knows how to use the system, and he found Trump. Trump was getting abused in the tabloids. Everything was about him, but it was always some shocking, horrible thing that everybody hated him for. But he was rich, and so people said, oh, okay, we'll let him get away with it. But he lied about his riches, if you're not familiar with that. First of all, he got an inheritance from his father, sort of a allowance from his father in millions of dollars, and then squandered it all, and so he had to call Forbes and pretend to be somebody else in order to get Trump on the Forbes 400, and that enabled him to get loans from banks until banks realized he's not paying us back. We're not giving him any loans anymore. So then Trump, they're not giving me loans. I hate America. I hate banks. Oh, Deutsche Bank, you're giving me a loan? Oh, you're allowing Russia to money launder through your bank into my bank account. I love Deutsche Bank. I love Russia. I love Putin. Hey, why don't I build a Trump Tower in Moscow? That would be great to show my loyalty to Putin. That's how it worked. Trump was vulnerable. Russia saw that and exploited it. And they saw that because he was so mind manipulated, that they decided, let's make him the Manchurian candidate for the United States presidency. Yes, Trump is a Manchurian candidate, and he is so weak-willed that they didn't need to drug him. If you've seen either of the Manchurian candidates, the first original one, it was brainwashing by hypnotism. The second one was drug use with hypnotism, using code words to trigger the person brainwashed. Yeah, both great movies, but Trump is so weak-willed that they didn't need to do any of that. It was just quid pro quo. That's all they had to do to get Trump on their side. And yeah, if you've seen Star Wars, Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi is there, and Luke Skywalker, now a Jedi, comes to free Han Solo, and the pig guards let Luke Skywalker in, and Jabba the Hutt is awakened, and he sees that the pig guards have been mind manipulated by Luke Skywalker's Jedi mind tricks, and chastises the pig guards for being so weak-willed. These are not the droids you're looking for. Yeah, that's all it is. It's just people are weak-willed. You know, they see Coke on the screen and go, oh, I gotta have a Coke. Or Lucky Charms, they're magically delicious. I gotta go buy a box. That's what advertising is. You know, if it's, in my case, I love Lucky Charms, not because my birthday's on St. Patrick's Day, and not because it's got marshmallows, but yeah, it's a great cereal. I love it. And now there's like frosted Lucky Charms, Frosted Flakes Lucky Charms. That's awesome. Smith's doesn't sell it. It's only available at the Family Dollar. I don't know why. Why doesn't Smith sell it? But oh well, whatever. But yeah, if I were buying Lucky Charms simply because I was mind tricked into thinking they're magically delicious, then yes, I would be gullible. But I am not gullible to the other cereals, like Trix. Trix are for prostitutes. I mean, kids. Nobody in Utah likes that joke. Silly rabbit, Trix are for prostitutes. I think it's hilarious. Nobody in Utah thinks it's hilarious. Prostitutes, they're evil! And you're associating with kids. But that's what commercials are. They're specifically designed to manipulate your mind into buying their product. And so they lie about the product. Contains 8 essential vitamins and minerals. Low fat. Low sugar. You know, like Camel smoking a cigarette. Fred Flintstone smoking a cigarette. And candy cigarettes and all that stuff. That's all mind manipulation to target a specific audience. And so, yes, women during women's shows, often during the daytime, because women are at home cooking and cleaning, taking care of babies. And so you've got to cater your commercials to that target audience. And so during the evening, during the man shows, you have man commercials, etc., etc. And so when you have gender neutral commercials or time shows on TV, then you've got to cater it to a gender neutral audience. You can't do a Carl's Jr. ad with a hot chick who's almost naked eating a Carl's Jr. burger and the sauce is dripping down her body. You can't do that during the day, during women's shows, and you definitely don't want your kids to be exploited with that. So you need to find shows that men will typically watch to place the ads in those time frames on those channels. Carl's Jr. is great, by the way. I get the Western bacon cheeseburger every time with an order of onion rings rather than fries. And that's my thing. That's what I do. So yeah, they can try to throw up all these other advertisings to say, oh, try this new one. No, I already know what I like. Every time I go to Carl's Jr., it's the Western bacon cheeseburger, period. And so that's how it works for me. I know what I like, I know what I want, I know what is good. You know, like Levi's jeans. It had nothing to do with the commercial back in the 80s of, Travis, your year's too late. If you don't remember that commercial, look it up. It's still on YouTube. No, that's not why I get Levi's. It's because of the name association. I was buying, or my mom was buying Levi's for me before I saw the commercial. And I was a little embarrassed by the commercial because guess what happened at school? Travis, your year's too late. I was being bullied because my name association with the Levi's commercial. It's that simple. Bullying through commercials. They were promoting abusive behavior among my peers. And my peers were weak-willed and tried to exploit me on that to drag me down, to become the puppet. Yeah, 505s. That's what I get. Because they're not button flies. They try to do button flies on me. I have to have zipper. If you've ever tried to go to the bathroom in a rush, you do not want to have to fiddle around trying to undo the buttons. It's that simple. You know, men don't do things for decoration purposes. Women, we do things because they're practical. They work for us. We don't want it changed. I don't want Levi's to stop making Levi's 505s. Period. You know, I don't care about the regular leg versus the other relaxed fit. That's not a big concern for me. Relaxed fit is nicer, but anyway, so yeah, this is the psychological manipulation that's been going on in our nation. We've been bombarded on all fronts, and it's psychiatry that are the cause of it. Our psychiatry are the ones who give the ideas to the advertisers. They're the ones that give the ideas to salesmen. And they're the ones who give the ideas to government as to how to manipulate the voters into voting for them. They're the ones that are manipulating religions and how religions can manipulate the masses to get more people into their religion. Now, religions have figured it out long, long ago. Hey, if we threaten them, saying it's God who's going to punish them, not us, we can cause a lot of fear and yet still get a lot of money out of it. It's that simple. But yeah, this is now reaching its 30-minute mark, so you'll have to stay tuned for more adventures. So yeah, don't get fooled, people. Step back out of the box and go, hey, wait a minute. What is it that they're asking me to do? Is that something that I want? And don't fall for the hype. Lock her up! Lock her up! She lost. Get over it. Lock him up. He is guilty of criminal behavior before he ran for president, while he ran for president, and after he's president. Lock him up. Quit this nonsense about an unconstitutional FBI policy that says, oh, we can't indict a sitting president. He's above the law. Because Trump now thinks, I'm safe. I made it. Putin got me in. This is great. I can commit crimes all over the world. I've threatened everybody. Everybody bows to me. Yes, Putin, as you wish, master. That's what we saw yesterday. Putin wanted Trump to do certain things while president. Trump was hesitating because the government wouldn't allow it. But Trump's time is running out. So he rushed yesterday. Got a whole bunch of things done. He started the night before with the pulling troops from Syria, but then the next day, boom, 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 boom. Everything for Trump, or for Putin. And that's a dangerous thing, because today it's going to get worse. So watch out for that as the government shuts down and hundreds of thousands of employees go without paychecks. Just in time for Christmas. Though I'm wondering, they already got their paychecks. It should be deposited in their banks today. Or is the paycheck period next weekend? Next Friday? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, just in time for Christmas. Merry Christmas, Putin. Yeah, so